Hey LA loves, how's it going? It's that time again. Let's discuss with author LA Logan. On today, we're going to talk about living in your truth. After all, living a lie just won't do. Are you ready to get into it? I know I am. Let's discuss. So, it's the day after the 4th of July, and I don't know about you, but I actually did enjoy my 4th during this quarantine season. I did not do what I normally would do, which is travel out of state. After all, even if I wanted to travel out of state, it would have been kind of difficult because the state that I live in, which is Arkansas, is on everybody's do not travel or do not allow entry list. So anyway, based on what was going on here locally, some things that were in the news, as well as spending time with my family members over the weekend, as well as having some conversations with various people, it got me to thinking about the topic that we're going to talk about on today, which is living in your truth. So I have some family members, friends, acquaintances who are very strong supporters of our current president. They don't see anything wrong with how he is leading the country. And so in that, there were people involved in the conversation who are not happy with our current administration and how the country is being ran. And so listening to the debate go back and forth on why one side does agree with how he's leading the country versus another side who's just fed up with how he's leading the country, it got me to thinking about living in our truth. That we're in a time right now where we have some people who are probably afraid to live in their truth. During that conversation, those conversations, people were talking about, or part of the discussion was even the Black Lives Matter movement and the millennial civil rights movement. Some agreed with it, some didn't. And I have to say, I was very surprised by some who agreed and some who disagreed, because I really would have thought it would have been the opposite. So that saying, you can't judge a book by its cover, is so very true. You really just don't know what a person is thinking or how they're living or how they feel unless they express it to you. You can think you know, but sometimes you're really, really surprised by that. So anyway, living in your truth sometimes can be hard, especially depending on who you surround yourself with, or who you care about. Sometimes we could find ourselves living a lie, not being honest about what we really want, what we really feel. And that could be just not in politics or the current movement or environment that we're living in, but it could just be it could be a relationship, a friendship, a marriage, a job. Any of those things kind of fit into that umbrella of living a lie. It's so hard to live a lie. Although I think sometimes it's more comfortable, again, depending on who we surround ourselves with, who we communicate with, or who we're trying to identify with. If I was, I always try to find an analogy that kind of, if I loved, I think I talked about this before, as a matter of fact, with an analogy anyway. But anywho, if I love, going to the golf course, and that's my thing to do, but I hang around a group of people who they don't like golf, they absolutely hate golf. So I'm partaking in conversation with them as it pertains to golf, and I'm having to suppress my true thoughts and feelings about golf because I'm trying to accommodate them. I'm living a lie at that point because I'm not speaking up. I'm not saying one way or another. I'm just there. I'm just existing. And sometimes we go through life like that, even with a relationship. Sometimes you can be completely unhappy, miserable in a relationship, whether it's a romantic relationship or a friendship. And you are going along with it, losing yourself or have lost yourself or not really knowing what it is that you like or dislike, but you're doing whatever makes that individual or that the groups of people, if it's a friendship, happy. You're pretending to be something that you're not. You're pretending to be happy. You're pretending to be this upbeat person. You're pretending to be a Republican when you're not, or a Democrat when you're not. You're pretending that you like, I don't know, like I said, golf, and you really don't like golf. Why is the question. Why do we live a lie? Why do we put ourselves in situations, or we may not even put ourselves in a situation, but we find ourselves in situations where we really don't agree with where we're at or what's going on? It kind of makes me think about, I grew up in church since I was 7, 8 years old. And I remember when I decided, once I reached a certain age, I decided that I'm no longer going to go to church all the time. I'm going to go when I feel like going. And the feel likes became less and less and less, to a point to where I just wasn't going. And there was nobody there to make me go. And I remembered I was hanging around. I remember I was hanging around a certain group of people at that time who we didn't share the same goal or experience growing up, as far as I grew up in church, and this particular group of people did not. I can't even really call them friends, because I was trying to fit into their world, and they were doing things that were truly not the core of who I was, but because I thought they were cool, and for whatever reason I was just fascinated with the way they lived life, I wanted to fit in with them. So I pretended like I didn't have a problem with the things that they were doing, how they lived, how they moved around. And I would be with them a lot of times when they were doing some things that I just did not necessarily agree with. When I think back on that, I think, for one, how incredibly blessed I am to have not been affected by that for life, and two, that I literally had conditioned myself in my mind, lied to myself, and said, you're okay with this. There's nothing wrong with what they're doing. There's nothing wrong with being in this particular situation or being at this particular place. I lied to myself to try to fit in, or to just keep them from realizing that I wasn't like them. And so it got to a point to where my real self, the real life of who I was like, okay, we can't do this anymore. Like, we can only pretend so much. We can only act like this is all good so we got to figure out a way to get out of this. I honestly don't even remember how I kind of stopped hanging with those individuals, but it just happened. And the crazy thing is, some things I can remember, names, places, I can remember a lot of things. When I tell you, when I finally realized that I didn't want to live like that, or I didn't want to live that lie anymore, I can't remember their names. I vaguely can remember some of their faces, and these are people that I hung out with daily. Like, every day we were doing something, hanging out, doing something, going to eat, movies, whatever we were doing, or even the things we weren't supposed to be doing. So it's not like I only hung out with them for a brief moment. I should at least remember their names, what they look like, where we hung out at. I just have glimpses of it. But I said all that to say that I was literally living a lie, pretending to be something that I was not. And I think we still do that sometimes, even as adults. I was a young adult at that time. But even now, when you're older, you can still find yourself living a lie. Maybe, again, it could be people that you associate with, or it could be that you don't agree with someone's political view or someone's lifestyle. That's a big one. That is a big one. We tend to be judgmental of other people's lifestyles, because it's not something that we would do or that we don't agree with. I don't have to like your lifestyle or go along with your lifestyle just to make you happy. And that probably doesn't make a lot of sense. So let me rephrase that. So if I am in contact with, or I have, again, kind of like the group of friends I hung out with, if you choose to live a certain way, it's not my job to judge you. But it's also not my job to live a lie and act like I'm all good with it, if that makes sense. I got to respect you where you're at in your life, how you're living your life, and the things that you choose to do, just like I would want somebody to respect me and where I'm at in my life and the way that I choose to live my life. Neither of us should have to live a lie about what we have going on to accommodate the other one. Doesn't mean I have to like what you're doing or that you have to like what I'm doing, but I need to respect the boundaries of it. I need to respect you as an individual for how you choose to go about life. And it's that simple. I respect people who live in their truth. Again, I may not agree with their truth. I know someone who they are a pathological liar, but I don't think they know they're a pathological liar, if that makes sense. They literally, when they're talking, you really got to pay attention to know what's facts, what's not. But they're the sweetest person, the nicest person ever. They'll do anything for you, but they lie like it just falls out. Now, is it my job to judge you or feel like, oh, well, that they deserve whatever happens to them because they're a pathological liar? No, that's not the right thing to do. I need to be more like, that saying, oh, that's just how they are. That's just how they are. And I know that's how they are. Maya Angelou said, when a person shows you who they are, believe them. So I'm going to believe you. I believed you when you showed me that you're a pathological liar, or that you can't be trusted, or that you love to go shopping. So it could be anything. You're not the most faithful person when you're in a relationship with someone, or you're not the most loyal friend when you have a friendship with someone. Recognize that. Let them live in their truth, which is not necessarily a good thing. And that's where I think sometimes we get off. We think that a person living in their truth has to be a good thing. It doesn't. It means they're just being their authentic self. Doesn't mean that their authentic self are doing everything right or doing everything good. It just means they're living and walking in their truth, and we should respect that. That's all I'm saying. So I might have went all the way around the bush to say that, but hey, this was something that really came to mind again, like something that happened here locally, as well as several conversations that I either was a part of or had the privilege of hearing as it pertains to our political situation. And it just got me to thinking about living in their truth. There's a lot of people who don't agree with the civil rights movement that's going on right now, the new millennial civil rights movement. And on both sides of the track, people don't agree with it. They don't understand it, But I want to know that that's how you feel. I don't want you around me pretending like you're on board with it one way or another. You're either on. I don't want you pretending like you're on board when you're not, or you're not on board when you are. I want you to be honest. I want you to live your truth. There's no right or wrong way of doing that, of living your truth. And I would have more respect for somebody who's living in their truth. Doesn't mean I'm a fool with you once I realize what your truth is, but I'm going to respect it. I'm not going to try to belittle you or make you feel a certain type of way. It's just that maybe I don't agree with your truth and you don't agree with mine, and that's cool, but we don't have to fall out about it. We don't have to turn it into something negative. That's kind of what I wanted to talk to you guys about today. I know I was probably all over the place a little bit, but I want to encourage you to live in your truth, no matter what that is, no matter what it looks like. And if you feel like you need to do something different because you see a reflection of yourself, then you do that. You never let somebody dictate to you what your truth is, because only you know what that is. And when you're living a lie, when you're lying about it, you're only hurting yourself. You're making yourself sick because you got to keep up with a lie. A lie produces a lie, produces a lie, produces a lie. And after a while, you're going to forget some of them. I'm just saying. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed our discussion on today. Leave me a comment below. Let me know what you think. And if you have any thoughts about, living your truth one way or another, are you okay with people who live their truth, whether you agree with it or not? How do you feel about that? I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear your comments below. If this is your first time to the channel, welcome. We are so happy to have you here and participating in our discussion. If this is not your first time visiting the channel, welcome back. How have you been doing? I appreciate you all so much for participating, and I would like you to click the like button and also the subscribe button and the bell. The bell is going to notify you when new content has been loaded to the channel. And I am trying to grow our channel. I'm trying to get to 50 subscribers, which is not a lot, and we're so close to 50 that I just believe if you shared this discussion a few times, we will get there. 50 subscribers. Let's get there. I need your help. Will you help me get there by sharing this video? So that does it for our discussion on this evening. Again, I hope you enjoyed it. I appreciate you rocking with me. I appreciate your comments. I appreciate the emails that I get from you all, giving me feedback, giving me topics to talk about. We're going to start getting into those. I hope you're staying safe during quarantine, washing your hands, using your hand sanitizers, using your mask. We're going to do a video on that too, because there's a lot of stuff going on about that. Washing your hands, drinking plenty of water, and just doing all that you can to stay safe. I hope that you're doing that. So before I get out of here, I want to leave you with this. Remember, the plans for your life have already been designed. It's just up to you to trust the planner. Have a good one, everybody.